Love, light, peace, and abundance. And welcome back to another episode of Awoke Wednesday. I'm your host for today, QueenEssence. And I have a few updates. One, my co host, Tiffany Marie, unfortunately had to step away. She has some other ideas on her plate that require her attention. So we want to thank her for her time with us. It was a great ride, and I appreciate starting this journey with her. Also, it is highly probable that we're going to change the format since it will be me hosting. It's highly probable that we're going to shift from the initial vision for the podcast. However, that will soon be coming. However, for today, the format will most certainly be a tad bit different. I will be speaking about whatever resonates in my spirit, along with giving some insight, I guess, into my own poetic journey and how poetry serves me, since the original idea is to get to know the poet behind the poetry. So give you all opportunity to get to know me a little bit. You know what I mean? It is my will that you are having a fabulous morning. I actually went out to the water this morning and I was going to go for a walk. However, I figured I will wait till a little later. However, it was great to be near the water. The sun is shining. The wind is blowing. It is a perfect temperature outside, and I'm very grateful for it. Although I am a little concerned, though. I'm not even going to front. I am a little concerned because we are in November. It is currently November 6th, and the temperature right now where I am, let's see weather. Where you at? The temperature right now is 71 degrees with a high of 80 degrees today. And let me tell you, I appreciate all of the warm temperatures. Okay. I am, I am so grateful for it. However, it is a little concerning because we are in November. We are in the fall equinox, soon to be in the winter equinox. And baby, these temperatures are very telling of the time and the shift that is taking place universally. And I hope my volume is high enough, that are taking place universally, right? And I'll leave that there for now. We'll see if we come back to that. However, I will that you are enjoying your day so far. I will the weather is beautiful, or at least perfect for you to complete and have the life force and energy to focus on accomplishing your goals today, right? Now, as far as me and my poetic journey, I have been writing poetry since high school. I was the girl that would like write poems when she liked the boy, or to express my feelings, my emotions. I also was writing in college for the same ideas. After college, or after I left college, I began to write poetry as an outlet to be able to express my feelings and my thoughts. As many of you all may be able to relate, in childhood, I grew up during a time where it was children are to be seen and not heard. And there were times where I had something to say, right? I wanted to say what resonated in my spirits. However, because of the structure of the household, I was unable to share all of the ideas and thoughts without having some type of repercussion. So that affected my development of vocally expressing myself. So I found solace in being able to write it down because there was no repercussions from writing it down. As I began to evolve in this, I found that I had the ability to connect and relate to other people. And I found that not everybody had the ability to utilize the English language in such a way to properly convey what it is that they were thinking or feeling. However, I did. So I would listen to people because I was also the friend that was the one that everybody called to talk to vent, to express, and to get some type of feedback and assistance in what it was that they were going through. So I would utilize the things that they were experiencing and their will to express it. I would write it out in the form of poetry. And at one point in my journey, I was, what is that word? It's not customized. It is The principle is customized. However, it is another word that's escaping me. And if you're listening and you know, just write it in the comment for me so I can have that aha moment. Commission. That's what it is. I was commissioned to write pieces for people, and then I would print them up on beautiful paper and then frame them and present them to them. And I found in that time that I had the ability to communicate in a manner that appeared to be unusual in relationship to others that I was around. And that's how I was able to express my gift of communication through poetry. As I traveled through this journey of life, I would find myself going in and out of writing poetry because life's demands required my full attention. And I wasn't always in the best place to sit still long enough on all three levels to be able to express what it was that I was feeling mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Did I say that twice? Physically, mentally, and spiritually. Oh, well, I guess it's four then. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So that's 4 levels. However, I would still pick up the pen throughout the years. It wasn't until 2023, actually. 2023, the end of 2023, I received a download. I'll say a download, a conscious thought that it was time for me to step back into my poetry. And I lived in a brand new area from where I had been previously in my journey, where I was writing and performing and, a part of the Poetry Network, or at least becoming a part of the Poetry Network. I was in a whole new area. So I scouted out the area. I went to different events. I became familiar with the vibration and frequency of the different locations, as well as observing, right? And meeting the different hosts of the different events as well. It wasn't until 2024, the early part, where I actually got on the mic and started expressing myself. And I found that because of where I was in my journey on life, being here on earth, I was expressing my poetry in a way that was interwoven with the new version of who I am. And at that particular time, I was coming out of hibernation. And this hibernation involved an in-depth portion of my spiritual journey, right? Where I was deep diving and I was healing and I was uncovering and unraveling things that I had taken on throughout the journey that was not me. I had accepted different personas that people placed on me. And it was time for me to release those. It was time for me to become acquainted with my core frequency that would allow me to show up in the world in all authenticity and be the true me that I am. At the same time, become acquainted and meet who I am after all of the things that I had been through up until that point, which entailed marriage and children and divorce and loss of parents and loss of loved ones and, having loved and then had to release that love. You know what I mean? And then just a natural process of evolving and growing to be better than how I was yesterday. So I found myself in a place where my poetry was reflecting that, right? And I quickly came to understand that my poetic gift is to be able to share my journey in such a way that it radiates the spiritual aspect that will touch those that are ready, those that are also on their journey looking to find their way, those that are looking for healing, who are in the process of healing, those that feel like they're not understood. And I found myself in a place where I was a voice, or I am a voice, not only for myself, however, for others that can relate as well. And I take that as a great honor, and I don't take it lightly at all, because it is a privilege to be able to be a vessel to express ideas in such a manner that people are able to relate in the core frequency of who they are, and then have some assistance or support or ammunition to make the necessary shift and change in their own reality, in their own life. And that's not an easy feat, right? So if you find yourself on a spiritual path, or either, and you may not even identify as a spiritual path, excuse me, you may not even identify as a spiritual path. You may simply identify as trying to figure out what the heck you're doing, right? Being consistent and putting one foot in front of the other, looking to do better, learn better, be better than the examples that you had, or the steps and decisions that you made up until this point. So I will that you're able to connect and relate to it where, in whatever part of the journey you're on, and however you process it, because in being able to connect, then you'll be sure to receive something from what it is that's being expressed, because it's not about me just speaking about me. I'm the example that's being utilized to share a bigger picture or a greater idea, which is poetry is healing. That's the idea that I'm sharing. Poetry can be utilized as a tool for healing, not just yourself, however, for others. You know, poets write and speak about many topics for many different reasons. And that's the beautiful thing about art, right? Art is subjective. It can be expressed from any vantage point possible. And somebody somewhere is going to be able to connect and relate to the art, because they also operate in a similar similar frequency. Let me take a sip. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe I need to take a sip. And this tea is still hot. Do you have your beverage? Did you drink any water or tea today? Or are you a coffee drinker? Did you drink your morning coffee? Excuse me. And that is hot, so I'm gonna swallow up some water behind that. So yes, art has many different expressions, avenues of being able to be expressed, and poetry is one of them. And within poetry, there are several different expressions, which, you know, I think Tiffany Maria and I have spoke previously about the competition that is in some arenas or some clusters in the poetry realm, in the poetry arena. And it's always interesting to me, the idea of competition, because how can you compete with someone being the unique expression that they are? Like, you're you. Now I'm not talking about slams and things like that. Like, I get that. I'm saying in terms of a personal, you know, you feel like you're competing with somebody, or you want to be better, or you got to be better, or you think you're better, or someone else thinks you're better or they're better. It's like, how is that even the case? Like, it may be that somebody's ability to string the words is top tier, right? Like, there are some poets that are like phenomenal in how they string the words. And one poet that comes to my mind is Obi West. Obi West, his ability to string the words together and then relate them and bring them into the 3D and make them tangible for people to relate, connect, and have an experience while walking away with something tangible is phenomenal. However, would I ever say that he's better than another poet? And I'm being mindful not to just throw names out there. However, you know, would I ever say that? No, because there's no comparison. Like, you can't compare, you can't compete where you don't compare. And how I process that is, there's no competition when you're being you and I'm being me, because you'll never be me and I'll never be you. So there's no competition because there's no comparison. You know what I'm saying? You can't compare. You know what I mean? So with poetry, it's interesting because that type of idea can come up. However, when we take a step back and we look at it from a higher vantage point, we understand that everybody is a unique vessel that's being utilized to express whatever ideas they are inspired to express. And because we all have different purposes and we are in alignment with different frequencies, and we're going in different directions, right? It's impossible to compare. And instead, it would be better to cheer on each individual that's in pursuit of their personal legacy. They're in pursuit of, they're in pursuit of finding their divine purpose. You know what I mean? Their purpose in life. You know, every individual at one point, you know, reaches a place where you just want to know why you here. You know what I'm saying? Like what you came here for. And some of us are utilizing signal is going in and out. Excuse me if you can see the buffering on your end. And some of us utilize poetry as that vessel. So with that being said, that's where I'm at. I utilize poetry as one of many vessels or vehicles, as one of many vehicles to express my divine purpose, which is to activate heart chakras, inspire thought, help facilitate healing, reconnect you to the essence of yourself, activate change, growth, amongst many other things. So I had in mind a piece that had came to my mind to share with you all, and I don't have it memorized, so I will be reading it. And if I'm inspired to share another piece, I will as well. And perhaps, you know, we can get a conversation going in the comments section about what stands out to you. Can you relate? How do you view poetry? Do you utilize it as a tool for healing? Do you not write, however, read poetry and are inspired to pursue your higher path and purpose because of the stories and the ideas that's being shared by poets? I would love to dialogue with you about that. So the piece that I'm going to share is called The Path of the Chosen. I like to do like a little intro, maybe like a sentence or a phrase before I start my poems. I don't know why it resonates. It just resonates for me to do that. So this poem has that element in it. So here we go, without any further ado. The Path of the Chosen. I was locked in and I played to win it. Chin up, chest out. I say this loud and proud. I passed every test sent to leave me in a state of distress. I took that energy and alchemized it, turned that pain into purpose, all the while still giving and being of service to others that needed healing or guidance, still smiling, although I was going through it in silence. Never had my hand out, got it out the mud, as they say. Don't communicate with the Most High in the traditional way. I meditated and I made offerings from my spirit. I stayed in nature so his presence, I could feel it when I needed it the most. Before my emotional levels got exposed, I'd go by the ocean to release the waters before any erosion in my heart could impose. Every time he delivered exactly what I needed. So I didn't have to pretend, I could actually be it, at peace with what I had agreed to endure, knowing deep down my life was worth so much more than being someone's door to come and go as they please, never considering the dis-ease they imprinted upon my heart while I appeased their needs. I grew strong like a seed in the dark. I gained the expertise in the form of art. I unified my light with the other part by absorbing it all. I may have tripped, but I damn sure didn't fall. Now I stand tall, knowing I didn't deviate from the script. I completed every level, and now I'm equipped to stand in my purpose, exuding Christ consciousness, being an example that there's a blessing when you endure the night. Simply pursue to overwrite the programming that keeps you in plight. Consistent baby steps will suffice. Got to make deposits to pay the price to be a chosen seed. There will come a time where you can truly be, where you can truly breathe and simply be, you know, human being. So that is that piece. Normally I say poem after. However, that is that piece. And I found myself writing this poem from my heart chakra. I wrote this poem from my heart space, meaning that it wasn't a lot of conscious thought that went into the creation of this. The conscious thought didn't come until the editing part, which the editing phase came much later. However, the initial expression of it came from my heart, and it was just where I was at that time and what I was feeling, and being present on all three levels at this particular place on my journey, meaning spiritually, mentally, and physically. This is where I was at, and being able to identify what was happening, what was taking place, what all were my views from what it was that I was experiencing. And it caused me to be in a place where I was identifying the steps that it took to get me to where I was at. Because we find ourselves on this journey in some very uncomfortable places, right? Like, they say that if you're comfortable, you're not growing. At least that's what I was taught on my spiritual journey. And the example that was given was like children wearing shoes, right? The telltale sign that a child is growing is that their shoes begin to hurt. You buy them a pair of shoes on Tuesday, and I promise you, by that next Tuesday, it's possible that they're saying that their feet hurt. And you're like, why do your feet hurt? You just got those shoes last week. And then when you go and check, you see that their feet have grown. Growth is happening. Progress is happening. That causes them to have outgrown the shoe. And because they outgrew the shoe, it brought about uncomfortability. So that is the example that shows that when you're growing, it's not comfortable. It's only comfortable once you remove that which no longer serves you and replace it with that which will. So I was in that process, right? And we find ourselves collectively in the process of being uncomfortable, however, not adjusting and shifting to find that which will alleviate the discomfort. We adjust and we get comfortable in the uncomfortability. Isn't that something? We figure out a way to be comfortable in the uncomfortability. That right there, that's a bar. That's a bar. And that can go so deep because it speaks to a level of resilience, right? And a level of strength and power that we possess. However, we're utilizing in a manner that we're not consciously aware of the other options that are available that will benefit us in a way where comfortability can be intrinsic, it can be authentic, it can be tangible, without the outer layer of the uncomfortability, right? It could be comfortability throughout, like in and out. However, that took me off on a tangent. Child. So, right. So the experience that we have, it is uncomfortable. And it takes for us to take tangible steps to bring about this change. So in my poem, I was really reflecting on the steps, or it reflects the steps that I took, to bring about this change. And I want to share this too, because I am burping quite a bit, belching quite a bit. In the energy realm, it is said that our body responds to the truth. And there is a time where when you are expressing yourself, your body will do things to bear witness to the truth that you're either hearing or the truth that you're expressing. And in the spiritual energetic realm, it is identified that burps or belches come out as confirmation. So these are confirmation belches that are happening for anybody that's like, girl, why does she keep belching? Da, 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 da. So yes, that's what's happening. They are confirmation. So it's causing me to be conscious of the idea that I just shared, as that being a bear witnesser to the belch, being a bear witnesser to the truth. So with that being expressed, if I can find my way back to the idea that I was sharing. Okay, so one thing about me, you're gonna find I go off on tangents. The way that I process information and the way that my downloads come in and my inspirations of just freely flowing from my heart space, I'll be on the main road and then I'll see a flower and I'll stop and I'll go speak and entertain the flower, and then there'll be a butterfly, and then I'll be, focused on the butterfly, and then it'll fly, and then I'll see the rays of the sun, and then I'll be focused on that, and then I'll be looking up at the clouds, and I'll be focused on that, and then I'll look down to the ground, and then I'll continue to get back on track. So that's how my thoughts work in essence. I'm usually pretty good with getting back to the main road. However, sometimes I don't, and I just take that as the divine guiding me in another direction, and I just go with the flow. So hopefully you all, flow with my flow, and it's not distracting or annoying to anybody. However, yes, I spoke in my particular poem about the things that I did that got me to the place, to the place where I was able to experience peace with what had taken place in my journey that was distasteful and uncomfortable, all the while reaching a state of comfortability in that peace. And one of the things that I did was spend time out in nature. And being out in nature allowed for me to be directly connected to the divine source in a manner where it allowed for my spirit to be free, right? I was no longer weighed down by the physical things that was taking place. Now, mind you, my reality didn't stop, right? Like I still had to navigate everything that was going on in my 3D reality. And if you are an adult, you already have an idea of what I'm talking about, because adulting, woo, child, I feel like it's the biggest trick ever, because nobody prepared us for the reality of what adulting really entails, right? However, nevertheless, I would be able to go, I would ground in the grass, I would allow the breeze to bring in messages and clear my mind to receive. I would allow the flow of the water to flow through me to bring any debris that was beneath the surface to the surface, so that I can give it the attention that it required, so that I can bring balance to my inner world, so that I would be better equipped to bring balance to my outer world. And poetry serves as a vehicle to be able to express all of this. So, when you hear, I made offerings from my spirit, I stayed in nature so his presence could feel it, and even the idea of when I needed it the most, he always delivered, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like when you're disconnected from the divine, you know what I mean? When you're disconnected from the divine, you out here on your own, just trying to find your way. And it reminds me of, being a child and having parents. The parents are there to guide us, right? They are to guide us and prepare us for when it's our turn to make our decisions for ourselves on our journey. And some of us lose our parents by divine design early in the development of ourselves. I, for one, lost my mother when I was 20, and I lost my dad when I was 16. So I lost them not as young as others, however, young enough to where in adulthood, I had to figure this thing out. So navigating adulting and making these decisions and trying to understand all of what needs to be considered and what is the best decision was a journey that I had to take on my own. I didn't have, that guidance in that way. So our connection with the Most High is the same thing, right? And as a result of me not having that guidance, I learned a lot of lessons in real time. Whereas with your parent, you can learn from their experiences, like I do with my children. Particularly with the Most High, when we stay tuned in and tapped in and connected, we're able to receive the guidance that we need so that we can understand what it is that's taking place, so that we don't have to continuously bump our head and learn things the hard way. The Most High may send someone to us that has a similar experience so that we can learn the principle. It looks like I'm going to be going over the 30 minutes. So out of respect for the time, I know our broadcast is usually 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap this idea up and then I'll end it. So if you don't mind sticking around to the end, you are greatly appreciated. All right. So I I'm going to simplify this. The Most High is our parent, our father, right? It's some people who say divine mother and father. I lean towards that because I acknowledge the divine masculine and feminine, and the way that I understand things to be. The only way for it to have been a divine masculine and feminine is that the original creator at some point had to embody both, right? So whether it's divine mother and father, whether it is, Most High, God, Allah, Yeshua, Buddha, whatever it is, the Most High operates as our spiritual parents, I'll say, for lack of a better expression in this example. And we are being guided by our parent. So once we reach adulthood, right, in a spiritual sense, there are times where you still need that guidance. You know what I mean? You have learned enough in your earlier development to be able to make decisions that are beneficial, right? That are that have laid the foundation in order for you to learn. However, there are still times in adulthood, just like as humans, sometimes you need to pick up the phone and you need to call your mom. Sometimes you need to pick up the phone and you need to call your dad for some assistance, some support, some clarity, some understanding. So it's the same way with the Most High. So going out in nature and communing with the Most High was my way of connecting with the divine mother and father to receive what was available to me, because what I had in my arsenal, I was either at a place where I was unable to figure out exactly how to put the pieces together to be successful, or I was at a place where I was so the waters had risen to the point where they were splashing, right? And I needed to be calm. So I would go in nature to experience that. I don't remember the original idea why I shared that. And now I'm more time conscious than anything because I want to respect the original time that we agreed. It's my will that in me expressing these ideas and breaking down and presenting myself to you all in this open-hearted expression, that you all were able to benefit something to serve you on your own journey, whether it be your poetic journey, your spiritual journey, or just here 3D living life. I look forward to any comments that you may have, any questions that you may have. Every like and share is greatly appreciated here at Wide Awoke Wednesday. And until the next time, love, light, and peace.